When the rivers freeze and summer ends.
We here to become human again and enjoy the things that is not in our reality.
Hello and welcome to this week's cinema show here on Arts 24, where I'm joined by critic Emma Jones to look at this week's new releases. Hi, Emma.
Hello.
Now, we're starting with an Oscar contender, of course, for A Complete Unknown. This is about a young Bob Dylan, played by Timothée Chalamet, taking on the role of one of the most iconic songwriters ever, the only musician to win the Nobel Prize for Literature. Directing here comes from James Mangold. How did you find the film, Emma?
Oh, it's great, actually. It's truly an enjoyable and uplifting movie that's far better than standard biopic fare. And I think, of course, the critics agree, because as well as Oscars, it's been nominated for 6 British BAFTA awards as well. This film is based on Elijah Wall's book, Dylan Goes Electric, and it's about how a young Bob Dylan arrives from the sticks to New York, armed with only his talent. And he's trying to meet a folk singing hero, Woody Guthrie. Along the way, he meets another big hero of the folk movement, Pete Seeger, and played brilliantly by Edward Norton, by the way, who also learned to play banjo for that role. Wow. I know, impressive. Anyway, Dylan himself becomes the darling of the folk movement, which is closely allied with anti-war protests and the civil rights movement, and then causes massive controversy by Shock taking up electric guitar. So really, it's the story of how a young kid becomes the sunglass-wearing, motorbike-riding icon that is Bob Dylan.
It was a very important cultural moment. Well, let's see a bit of the film. This is A Complete Unknown.
Oh my God, it's Bob Dylan.
Once upon a time, you're just so fine.
They just want me singing Blowing in the Wind for the rest of my goddamn life.
Then you.
Well, this is gonna piss some people off.
People come.
You came here with nothing but a guitar. You never talk about your family, your past.
People make up their past, Sylvie. They remember what they want. They forget the rest.
I want to know which side he's on.
I'm not sure they want to hear what I want to play, Johnny.
I want to hear it.
So I imagine a lot is riding here on Timothée Chalamet's performance and his capacity to capture Bob Dylan's unique voice. Does he actually pull it off?
Oh, yes, he actually really, really does. And Mangold's a director who insists that his stars do sing in movies that he makes, like Walk the Line and that kind of thing. Now, the COVID and the actors' strike actually helped Timothée Chalamet in doing this, because it gave him the time to learn guitar and harmonica as well as perfect his voice. Bob Dylan has given his blessing to this film, but I would say this is not a sycophantic movie, because Dylan in his 20s really is often portrayed as arrogant, uncaring, and an unfathomable young genius. And really, you get the full story as well of his famous on-off love affair with another folk singer, Joan Baez, and another brilliant performance here, Monica Barbaro. She's fantastic.
Okay, well, Timothée Chalamet didn't ride a motorbike to the recent London premiere. He actually rode a hired electric lime bike, slightly less rock and roll, but it certainly got everyone talking. Let's hear from him about playing this part.
A tremendous artist, Bob Dylan, someone I look up to hugely, someone who was as impactful in the United Kingdom as he was in the United States, and somebody who was a dream to play, dream to learn his worldview, and it's something I hope, I'm excited to see young faces like myself in the crowd, because I want this to be a bridge to this kind of music, So very happy for everyone here, and I'm happy this movie's finally coming out in the UK.
This film really has it all as far as I'm concerned for a musical biopic. You've seen New York in a really gritty, grungy era, but full of cultural excitement as well. Fans can get their fix of Bob Dylan songs as well, and I think it's just overall a really great film.
Yeah, and hopefully introduces a whole new generation of people to Bob Dylan's songwriting talents and his body of work. Well, moving on now to, appropriately, a film called Sing Sing, but it's not referring to music. In fact, it's about the prison in New York State. That's the setting for a film directed by Greg Queda and starring the Oscar-nominated Colman Domingo. It's based on a true programme called Rehabilitation Through the Arts, which takes place at the jail. Let's take a look at the film.
It's been a program that was established to help people get more in touch with their feelings and truly get some rehabilitation.
I am Gladiator Goliath. I am Spartacus. I'm Prince Hamlet of Denmark.
And it's turned into something of, I don't know, wonderful.
What part do you play?
From time to time I do act, like we all do.
So are you acting at all during this interview?
Now, as you can see from watching that, this is a movie that could have been a docudrama, really about the theatre programme at Sing Sing and how it's really brought purpose and joy into these inmates' lives. And indeed, it's really important to note that many alumni of that programme, former inmates of Sing Sing, are playing parts in that movie. Now, that includes a former prisoner turned actor, Clarence Macklin, who, along, of course, with Colman Domingo, is also getting huge acclaim and buzz for his performance. Now, he plays a pit bull of a prisoner and he spits out Hamlet's famous to be or not to be soliloquy with total lack of pretension. I found it really arresting.
Okay. And Coleman Domingo, of course, had an Oscar nomination last year for his leading role in the historical biopic Rustin. So this feels like an interesting choice to then go and make an independent movie. Let's hear from him on why he was so drawn to this film.
Sing Sing is really just about brotherhood, more than anything. They said, we think we have a great co-star for you, Clarence Macklin. And I was like, I'd love to meet him. And immediately we connected so well. It was really beautiful and funny and organic. It felt like one of my brothers.
Working with Colman Domingo was an absolute pleasure, man, and a delight. The brother's a ball of positive energy. He saw in me things that I didn't see in myself.
You did your thing, beloved.
Yes, I did, beloved.
It's Colman Domingo's eyes, I think, that the star of the production. You know, his face, his expression speaks volumes because there's nothing Shawshank about this movie. The only escape for these prisoners is through theatre. And at times it does feel like a bit of a theatre workshop. There's lots of musings on the benefits for acting and how that helps men express their emotions. And it's a really interesting movie in that, it's a green New York summer outside. You can see the trains passing by the prison, but there's lots of barbed wire and these people are trapped inside. You know, it's one of the most gentle and delicate prison movies I think I've ever seen.
Sounds absolutely fantastic. Okay, well, on to another film now that screened at last year's Venice Film Festival. It's also being shown at the 2025 Sundance Film Festival, currently taking place in Utah. This is a Georgian movie. It's called April. Tell us more.
This is Dea Kulumbegashvili's second feature film, and she's a director who does not compromise. You know, this is definitely, if you're going to go and see it, auteur cinema. April is the story of a Georgian doctor, Nina, played by Dea Kulumbegashvili, who has seemingly botched the birth of a baby and is under investigation. And the father of that child is particularly upset and seems very suspicious of this educated female doctor.
Okay, well, let's take a look at what to expect from April.
თბილისში გაიგეთ ნაბურდები.
თუ თბილისში ვერ მიდის. ზოგი ორსულობასაც ვერ ამჟღავნებს. ანაბის ფული არ აქვს. უარი როგორ უთხრა. შეხო მაინც გესმის ჩემი.
So we understand there that character Nina also provides illegal abortions to local women. That's an important part of the story.
Yes, but this isn't like a Vera Drake style story at all. You know, Nina is a troubled and disorganised kind of a character. She seems actually haunted by a monster. If you see the film, you'll know exactly what I mean. And her decision to provide abortions doesn't necessarily seem to be rooted in ethics. Now, if you see the film, you will find out that this director is a real fan of the locked off shot. And the scene that caused a lot of talk at Venice is where Nina is performing an abortion on a young woman. Now, there isn't anything squeamish to see here whatsoever. It's actually quite matter of fact, but it is a massive talking point because it is a provocation, as with her first film, Beginning, which had a rape scene, I believe. And then misogyny and patriarchy, they're strongly hinted at by these long shots of very desolate rural villages. You know, she's a really interesting director, and I think we'll be seeing a lot more of her work at prestige festivals.
Okay. Well, finally, to a film festival, in fact, that everyone is invited to. You can watch it from your own couch. This is the 15th edition of myfrenchfilmfestival.com, underway until February 17th. It's a festival where you can watch French films, shorts, features at home, even if you're not in France.
Indeed, and many are subtitled in many languages and quite a few for free, I believe. It will have a grand jury prize at the end, and there is, you know, an international jury as well, including France's Nomi Mellon and Danish-American actor Viggo Mortensen.
Okay, well, any highlights from the festival that you'd recommend, Emma?
Yeah, on there you can see Cedric Kahn's comedy Making Of. Now, this premiered at Venice, and we all do love a film. You know, we all know that filmmakers love making movies about actors, but this one is actually quite funny. It's about a director making a film about workers trying to save their factory, but when, you know, their own financiers pull out of making the movie, then his production is beset with all kinds of problems, some of them fairly hilarious. The other one I would recommend is by Delphine Delegué, and it's All to Play For. Now, this is about a mother whose son is taken into foster care. She's fighting to get him back. And it stars Belgian actress Virginie Efira, who is never anything less than brilliant,
She is always great. Well, that sounds like a great and very accessible way to keep up with the cutting edge of French cinema with no need to make the trip all the way to a Parisian movie theatre. Thanks for the tip, Emma. We'll leave you with a little taste of what My French Film Festival has to offer this year. Otherwise, do check in with us next time here on Arts 24. There's more news coming up just after this.